Okay, Rhino, the stream is now live and um, ready to go whenever you're ready.
Okay, are they, I don't think there are people in the waiting room right now, or are there still some folks?
No, everybody that's signed in is in the room now. So we've got about 40 people participating.
All right. I'll wait till 1 minute passed or so. 40 people, 41 people. Excellent. That's probably pretty much what we will have. No, actually. Still some folks are trickling in.
Started anything yet?
It's up, but I think we're waiting for others to. No, gone. I think we're live.
Yes, we are live. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's just after 10. We now have 44 people in the Zoom meeting and others who are watching us via YouTube. Welcome to the 2020 Restricted Research Awards Transparency Review meeting. Because unfortunately, we can't meet in person this year. We are holding several shorter Zoom meetings. And otherwise, I'll go now to our agenda. Oops. This is an open record meeting. So we follow the usual rules as we would do at the coordinating board meeting. And with this, I call this meeting to order and welcome you all. And the first business we have to do is a roll call who is online. And so you probably know by now that each institution has one committee representative per rules. And on the call in the Zoom meeting may also be some support staff. Support staff, please disable your video and your audio, except if you're needed by your committee representative. Committee reps should have their video open so that we can see you in the gallery view. And also people outside the Zoom meeting can see you when you speak up so that we see your faces. This is part of open records. And that gives the meeting actually a nice, even though online, a nice structure. So after our welcome part of the agenda, today and in the next days, we will review and consider the standards and accounting methods, our SAMs, based on the discussion from last year. And then we have 2 agenda items for awards which were questioned and which are larger than $250,000 and those which are less than $250,000. And once we go through both of those lists, and we are done with our work, we can adjourn. So I would like to start with the roll call, and I will name the institution, and then please state your name if you're representing your institution. And I'm starting with Angelo State University.
Yes, this is Katie Plum here.
Welcome. Lamar University.
Yes, this is Jerry Lin from Lamar University.
Thank you. Midwestern State University.
This is Brittany Norman from Midwestern State.
Thanks. Prairie View.
This is Edlyn Walsh from Prairie View A&M University.
All right. Sam Houston State.
Chad Hargrave from Sam Houston State.
Thanks. Stephen F. Austin.
This is Jennifer Hanlon from SFA.
Right. Sewell Ross. I think Marilyn McGee emailed me that she cannot be on today.
No, I'm on today. I'm
Oh,
on
okay.
today, Dr. Cornelius. This is Marilyn McGee from Sul Ross State University.
Very good. Thank you. Tarleton State.
Barry Lambert here, Tarleton State.
All right. Texas A&M International.
Yes, this is Soyda Franco Hinojosa from Texas A&M International in Laredo.
All right. Texas A&M Galveston. Texas A&M Central Texas.
Russ Porter for Texas A&M Central Texas.
Welcome. Texas A&M Commerce.
PC Gassner for Texas A&M University Commerce.
Thank you. Texas A&M Corpus.
Good morning, Mayra Huff, Texas A&M Corpus Christi.
Hello. Texas A&M Kingsville. Texas A&M San Antonio.
Good morning. This is Patricia Zebluck from Texas A&M San Antonio.
Good morning. Texas A&M Texarkana.
Good morning. This is Angela Gideons with Texas A&M Texarkana.
Hello. Texas Southern. Texas State.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Blanda from Texas State.
Hello. Texas Tech.
Good morning. Amy Cook from Texas Tech.
Texas Women's.
Hi, I am Holly Hanson Thomas from Texas Women's University.
Hello. UT Arlington.
Sorry, this is Sarah Panapinto from University of Texas at Arlington.
Welcome. UT Dallas.
Hi, this is Emily Lacey from UT Dallas.
Hello. UT El Paso.
Hi, it's Manuela Doki, UT El Paso.
UT San Antonio.
Hola, it's Sandra Garcia from San Antonio, Texas, UTSA.
Hello. Hola. UT Tyler.
Good morning. This is Quita Mcnair from the University of Texas at Tyler.
Hello. UT Permian Basin. Texas A&M Rio Grande Valley.
Good morning. This is Mari Perez from University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Good morning. UH. Good morning. It's Chris Milligan from the University of Houston. University of Houston Clear Lake.
Good morning, Nancy Devino from UH Clear Lake.
Good morning. UH Downtown.
Good morning, Heather Davis with University of Houston Downtown.
Hello. UH Victoria. University of North Texas. University of North Texas, Dallas.
Thanks. When I said to speak.
Pardon me? UNT Dallas? West Texas A&M. Hello, West Texas A&M? Not on the line. Okay, that's a lot of people. Thank you very much. If anybody has a question which I can answer right now, please ask me and we can go through that real quick or appropriately. Okay, then I will start sharing my little, or I should ask, was anybody not called in the roll call and came on after we started the roll call?
Dr. Cornelius, this is Chuck Tarantino. I'm not sure that you heard me say that I was here.
All right, thank you very much. It's that's very good.
Same
Yes.
for West Texas A&M. This is Teresa Clemens. My mute button or my button was muted. So
Okay. Yes, it's like at the corning board, the red light in your mics.
Okay, Alicia Moreno from University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Alicia Moreno.
Reynolds, this is Jeremy Forsberg, UT Arlington.
Hello.
Hi.
All right, that's great. Good crowd of people. I'm so happy. So we go on and discuss the. Oops. Oh, I forget. I wanted to say some staff remarks. We all get used to this about how we go about reviewing the awards. And I think that's good to say up front. So I put something like this up every year because the transparency review of restricted research awards has several purposes. And one is oversight. So we look over each other's shoulders and make sure that everybody has the right awards accounted for from which they then can draw the restricted research expenditures. And part of that process is continuous education. We always have new people and they will learn how to do this and they learn what other people are doing. And even the seasoned people will learn from others what they're doing. So it's a really important point, I think, that we learn from each other. And I express again my disappointment that we can't meet in person, because I know it is also important for you to know each other personally or to come to know each other personally so you can interact throughout the year. This is part of the purpose of this meeting, in my opinion. And also, if you go back all the way to the early part of 2000, when all this started, it's a method to find mutual trust, that we all know what we're doing and doing the right thing. So the transparency review is really based on a consensus building. The awards are accepted as restricted research awards by consensus. And if it is hard to find the consensus, then we will do a roll call, similar to our checking in of attendance. So we don't do that for every award. We do that if we can't decide how the committee as a whole thinks about it. And important for that is that you all speak up. You speak up if you don't understand something, why something is restricted research expenditures, or you speak up if you have doubt about something, and you speak up if you feel strongly, well, this is restricted research, and inform your colleagues about that. And in order to make this all work, also in order to defend this work to the auditors, which may come to you or to us at the COIN board, what did you do here? Because funding is dependent on this. Everybody's input is needed. That will help defend our process or make it legit. So we have two categories of awards, and one is over 250,000. And all those must, as we say, see the light of day through discussion that may be very quick or may be drawn out, but we all will discuss these details of those awards. Under 250,000, awards may become quite small. And traditionally, the committee said we don't really need to review them as rigorously as the larger awards. Now, for the last couple of years, institution reps, committee reps have also marked awards with smaller award amounts as questionable. And I think that is important, and we should decide what to do with that and how to discuss that, because underlying those clicks of questionable may be understanding questions and how do we do this, what can we do, what should we do, and everybody should do the same thing. So it is important that we come to know those questionable awards under 250,000. And I hope what we did this year, because in order to give us a little bit heads up to the shorter Zoom meetings, the question and answers we dealt with will help in this consensus building also for the smaller awards. Finally, if you have time constraints, say you can't be online tomorrow because you have another meeting, then let us know so we can move your awards out of order. Otherwise, we go in order of that sheet I sent you for the meeting of award list. That's basically a sort of arbitrary order of institutions. And we will strive that everybody can be heard. So that is my little intro. Does anybody have questions regarding this process? Generally, if you have questions, if you want to speak up as committee representatives, always do. Don't hesitate and think we are on mute. If you have something to say, please unmute, say it, and barge in. Otherwise, we cannot be sure that everybody's questions and concerns are heard and answered. So I impress that on you, that stop everybody if you have something to say that is on your mind and needs to be answered. Thank you for that. So now we go to agenda item 2, the review and consideration of standards and accounting methods, our beloved SAMs. And as it is, we haven't had changes to SAMs since 2015, quite a long time, which means to me that the document in a way matured. But last year, several items came up, and staff at the COIN board put them into red line form in SAMs, and I sent that out, and we will have a consideration, i.e. a vote at the end of the process. And according to normal rules, I will need at the end at some time a motion and a second to make changes. And I don't mind if that is today, or if you want to look it over and think it over or talk it over with colleagues on campus, if you do that tomorrow or even at a meeting next week. That's up to you. Right now, I want to introduce the topic, and I sent out the redlined copy of SAMs, but I put all the changes in this PowerPoint so that we can quickly go through it and discuss what's there. In several parts of SAMS was a citation to the Federal Grant Management Standards of A110, which went away a couple of years ago. So we replaced it with a new citation, basically pointing to the Code of Federal Regulations, Title II. This is this is a citation throughout the document. Then we have a couple house cleaning sections. There is a section how to classify awards, and we looked it over. Your process must be documented, but that is already spelled out in the last point. And so we struck the first bullet just to make it cleaner. Also, the process must have minimum requirements, and they consist of certain things. Those are the 3 bullets. So we replaced the must with a general statement, what is. Then we have a couple more clarifying text changes. The first one is on page, or both these ones are on page 4. And the first one is just better English, I think, that institutions list all awards they want to be considered, even if they weren't previously reviewed from a previous year. And the second bullet is what I talked about before, that all awards are subject to review, but the emphasis and what must be reviewed in detail are the awards over 250,000. Then we are having 2 lists, or a list which is printed out twice, once on page 5 and once in the Appendix B, which shows you what kind of items we collect to collect for the transparency list, by which we have the minimum information of how to decide about these awards. And last year or so, we added a couple items which are shown here in red line. And we were hoping to update our tool, our application, which is online, to have separate sections for it. That hasn't happened yet. Our IT department hasn't been able to work through this, but we still started to collect this. And most importantly is that we make transparent if an award is a follow-up award to a previously approved award, so that other people can look this up or are comforted that it was awarded, was reviewed before. I also changed the URL to our website, because we have a new website, as you probably know by now. It's www.higheredtexas.gov, highered.texas.gov. Now we're getting into Appendix A revision, and that comes from last year's discussion. And this is important. If we make these revisions, then we probably will have a rule change, because part of Appendix A, the bullets with the 1 point, with 1, which is what is allowed as a restricted research, is written up in Texas Administrative Code. And if we make changes, then we will have to go to the board. So we would go to the board in January and make the changes also in the rules after we make them in SAMS. And the biggest item here is that you discuss capstone research projects a lot in the last years. Those are research projects undergraduate students do as part of their capstone work, in conjunction with research and development at the institution. So the change is that it's theses and dissertation research. So that would be master's level and PhD level thesis work, and also undergraduate capstone research projects for R&D. Then most sections in SAMS under 1 have a parallel under 2, which is things that are not restricted research. And so the suggestion was under 2.3.2 for workforce training that is not allowed as just basically part of a degree program, that it is allowed if it is research as described in 1.3.2, i.e. a capstone project for R&D. And since thesis and dissertation research would be allowed always to be research, 2.3.6 would be struck, which was somewhat ambiguously worded that it's not allowed except if it is allowed under 1.3.2. The second of the SAMS appendix revision is that we had a section 2.6, which clarified pass-through funds that go either to institutions that receive TCRF or CRSF funding, that is the state appropriation funding based on restricted research expenditures. And so we propose to put in a positive statement in our 1.5 to allow pass-through funds to other institutions, and then shortened, and the positive statement includes much of what the negative statement included before, and the negative statement at 2.6 would be shortened to what cannot be used as pass-through funds. And finally, last year, there's a section 2.7 of prohibited expenditures, and it was pointed out to us by some institutions who went through audits, etc., that it should be clarified that rentals are for personal use, just like the other things which are listed here, benefits that are benefiting the individual. And so I see this as a clarifying edit, and also an additional sentence that allows travel reimbursement and costs for workshops to be allowed if the award allows this in the grant condition. There are many different kinds of awards, and some awards may allow this, and some of that may not allow it. And so institutions should be guided by the grant conditions, what they can do with the funds or not. One more small addition in Appendix B. We always say that half the funds must be budgeted for research, at least half a fund, so that the entire award may be counted as restricted research. And if it is less than half, then none of the award be counted as restricted research. And the suggestion is to put budgeted or expensed because of when the expenditures are taken, institutions can look at what they actually use from the grant. Not sure how that works in the field. Maybe you can tell me, because most expenditures are drawn when not all of the expenditures are expensed. So you really have to fall back on the budget. Most awards are multi-year awards, and if you draw restricted research expenditures, you don't know if more than half the funds were expensed for research, but you know the budget always. So that's something for you to think about, how that works and if that is helpful in your process. Finally, I think a simplification. So Appendix B tells you how to do your review of these awards. And traditionally, in years past, it was very restrictive. We have loosened it up over the years, and basically, this change allows you to have the work done by one person or multiple person, and you should write this down, who does this work, in case the auditors come by, so they have it all documented. And so we, how you do the actual logistics of your review then should be documented, but you can determine how to do that. That is it in terms of Sam's revisions. It's quite a bit. Most of it, I think, is cleanup work, but I would like you to think about it and let us know what you think. With that, I give the floor to you to talk about this. If you have something to say, please start.
Reynold, this is Jeremy. I think these are, as you put it, good clarifying revisions and an improvement, I think from the previous document. And then, how you started this conversation of, I guess, having the complete agenda for everyone to think about these revisions. Perhaps it would be better to, as we go through the agenda and this review process, if we see other items that may need clarification, that we could maybe incorporate those and then make a vote at the end of this review. I mean, that may be just helpful to utilize the time.
That may be possible. And you can decide as a committee how important it is to include it right away or not. Traditionally, we have gathered ideas the year before and brought them forward for a vote the next year. And it depends on how clear the issue is, whether you want to incorporate it right away. That's totally up to you. I know that 2 years ago, we had recommendations and then we brought them forward last year. And in the meantime, we had decided it was actually all in the SAMs or in one way or another, or it wasn't, so we didn't address it. So that is the caveat I would say to that. But since we don't know what it is, and even with all the other items, we can go through them and include them or not. So yes, I welcome that notion. Thank you. You're muted. Can you please, Alan? Alan, we didn't hear you. You were muted. Oh, you're not muted, but we still don't hear you. Can anybody hear him? No, we cannot hear you.
No.
You have to, oh, there you are.
No, that was me, Reinhold, Mike Blanda. No, I can't hear Alan either.
Yeah, your audio is not set up. It may be that you're talking through your link to your institution. So if you have your mic at the computer at your institution and your VPN in, then your mic won't work on your personal desktop if you work from home. That may be a reason, or the wrong mic may be linked up in Zoom. So you have to look in the settings for Zoom if you're correct, and you can test your mic in Zoom under settings. Ernest is telling me to turn the cam on. Well, he turned it on, but we don't hear him. So I think it's either the VPN issue or a wrong mic at the computer. Alan, if you like to say something, you can email us, and then since it is about SAMs, we can work it in and at a later point.
While we wait for Alan to connect, hopefully, I want to second the motion for Jeremy's suggestion of incorporating any new gained knowledge through this process into the SAM this year, so we can act on it in this coming year. So I just second the motion.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, we what we will do is we will table agenda item 2 for a later time, and then we deal with it whenever we feel it is opportune, probably at the end. We will see how the meeting progresses, and we have to find a time where most people can be online so that they can actually vote on it. So we will probably revisit it tomorrow and see what we feel about it, and you can check your calendars when you want to do it.
Okay,
so
can
that
you
we
hear
have
this?
Yes, you're on. Alan is on.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to concur that yes, let's go forward. I had to get my air traffic controller look on.
That's quite all right. That helps with noise. Okay. Then we'll table SAMs for now, and we can start with the review of the awards. And for that, I will try to share our transparency list. So please let me know if you don't see our, oh, it's signed out. I have to sign in again. And here we are with our well-known transparency list. Let me know if you don't see that in your screen. And to start out the list, I don't know if UT Permian Basin is online. Is representative, is Timothy Pierce there from UT Permian Basin? No, then we have to skip UT Permian Basin, and we go to Texas A&M University, Kingsville. Okay, and that's, yes, we just spoke to Alan. So I go to Kingsville.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay.
So we review your awards that were marked questionable.
Yeah, on this first one, Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that one was, that's actually a re-award. It was previously defended and approved in 2013 under, the number was 20745. And that was under section 1.1.1 is what it was justified in the past.
Reinhold,
Yes.
can we use the responses to the questions as sort of a guide, with so many acceptable
Yes. but
determinations? It seems like, that's a fairly clear indication.
Yes, we will do that. But especially for the over 250, I want to record what was said. So Alan said it's previously awarded in 2000, a previous award was approved.
In 2013, and it was number 20743.
20743. And the vote, you looked at the answer, and that was overwhelmingly in favor of research. So as Mike said, shall we accept this?
Yes, I would support that, and including the precedent of the previous approval.
Yes.
So I like when people can provide that specific award number that was approved. That's always very helpful.
Yes, that's why I wanted to put that in the notes. So if you remember, we want to update this tool, this application, and then it will be spelled out more. This information would be spelled out more distinctly. But if nobody objects, which you could do right now, then I click on yes.
No objection.
Okay. Then we go to the next one, which is award 81475.
Yes, and on this one, it was, we considered it research under section 1.1.1. And its primary focus on this grant is to explore research methodologies to enhance teaching effectiveness of our faculty, specifically trying to look at different ways to engage students in high impacted activities and to personalize those support services and how that will affect their recruitment, retention, and in particular, our persistence in our engineering program. The second research question they're looking at is also to try and look at how the co-curricular activities they've designed will also improve students' ability and persistence to stay in our engineering program. The IRB number that's in there is actually set up. So it was done in 2019 as we were submitting the award into NSF. They actually asked us to provide the IRB before they even funded this particular program. And right now, about 83% of that budget is in line with these different activities and the research and the information I'll be collecting and presenting in the future as they get this information.
I would support that. I mean, we've seen a number of these pipeline types of awards, whether they're HSI specific or discipline specific. And as long as it's got that research component in terms of the efficacy, whether it's new curriculum or services provided, that tends to be, one of the primary research questions. So in my experience, it's consistent with what we've approved in the past, whether it's USDA or NSF or other types of sponsors.
And I would just add, in addition, having a human subject research component is, I think it's solid in my book.
Absolutely, and I'll echo that, is that many of us now have employed sort of an IRB type wizard that allows researchers to kind of pose different questions to determine whether or not it even needs IRB review. This has been something that's been going on at the FDP and other agencies. So there's actually an institutional pre-screening just so that we're not arbitrarily sending things through IRB unnecessarily, right?
It's Sandra Garcia. I think the IRB at our institution would not allow us to do that. So I think that having this IRB component makes it a strong for the restricted research awards, which we've been doing in the past.
I
I would suggest that IRB in and of itself is not necessarily in a sense of, is it the primary purpose? Because there may be a research component to a project, but that may not be the primary purpose of the project. So I think it's dangerous to get into an all or nothing type of thing when you say IRB.
Yes, that's absolutely true. But I think Alan addressed the amount for this particular one, and your statement is in general, I believe, but for this particular one, he addressed the percentage of work budgeted for this purpose. Is that correct?
Yes, we've got it in there. And I think we do have to be clear, because the whole purpose of this one is we've got to come up with some better strategies on how we teach and design our curriculum, and that's where it's set up. And so the faculty there are even already proposing, when they get this, where they'll be presenting it and publishing it. Again, trying to look at what is the commonality we look for, because everyone talks about high impact practices, but really we haven't done a very good job collecting data to say it actually makes a difference. And I think that's what distinguished this one, which was more important to us, is we've got to make sure we're doing it right, not just doing it because someone else said it was fun.
Yeah, and I think your abstract on the NSF's website supports it, Alan, with your primary aim to develop and assess an innovative model.
All right, then shall we mark this one yes as well? If any qualms, please let me know. Otherwise, I submit this. Submitted as yes. Then the next one, 81479.
Yeah, on Dr. Lee's project here, this was really focusing again under section 1.3.1 on sponsored instruction and training, on really looking at those engineering and science students and trying to again figure out in their curriculum, what do you prepare them for, and then how are we going to be effective in it? The real question is, are we going to be effective? And trying to look at how they go forward with that. Again, it does have an IRB protocol set up so that they can actually be asking those questions on the effectiveness and then comparing that to what they've done in the past. Again, that research project makes up over 50% of the budget funds, particularly when they're looking at the summer salaries of the faculty and then bringing in students to try and work with the other students on those activities in the summer.
Do we care if the notice of award from U.S. Department of Education indicates research or not? Do we care?
I don't think we should, because everything from ED and some of these pools is going straight into that cluster by default. If you look at the compliance supplement.
Okay, this award had a couple undecided people about it. If maybe somebody can say whether they're convinced now, or whether they feel, or tell us if we shouldn't approve this.
I support approving it.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. If that helps. So
I support approving it.
Okay, then since nobody speaks up against it at this point, I clicked on yes and I submit it.
Yeah, the host has stopped muting people. I just got muted earlier.
Yeah, please watch your mute button. There are, there are 50 people on the line, and so we have to avoid the dreaded echoes, because once we get in that loop, we are lost. Okay, Kingswell, you have one more award, 81480.
Yes, and this is the Mcnair Scholars Program. This was also previously defendant approved. The previous approval was 9922, and I think the year was 2009. It's so this is a application. It was under section 1.1.1. And again, this funds our undergraduate research scholars as they go forward and as they learn about research to try and move them into those graduate programs.
I was thinking that we were always approving the Mcnairs in general. A lot of institutions have those. I thought we were approving them across the board. Am I wrong in that memory?
Well, Barry, this is Mike Blanda from Texas State. There are a few tracks to the Mcnair program, and I believe only one of the tracks is recognized by the research as a research track. I think it's track 4, maybe, if I'm thinking right. I don't really recall. But not all Mcnairs can qualify for research.
Yeah, and right now I can tell you on ours, the 58% of the funding is going directly to those student researchers and then the research mentors that are particularly in the summer. And some of those mentors go over the year as they're doing those research projects. And all of those Mcnair students are presenting their presentations at both the campus undergraduate research program. However, I will say, talking to the program sponsor now, they have asked us to now start trying to fund our undergraduate students to go to professional meetings, which personally I'm very excited over the fact that they're recognizing the professional meeting is a much more appropriate place for any one of these students. And I think that's the first time we've allowed it, or they've been actually allowing us to do that.
That's nice. Okay, so we mark this as yes.
Yes.
And I submit. All right, we are rolling. Sam Houston State is online. I believe that 81618 was withdrawn.
Yes, that is correct. We withdrew that.
Thank you. And Suros is here. Yes, I think
Yes.
they made it. Thank you. Excellent. And here I have to say, so we don't have a vote because I missed the data file. And there you have one award, which is 81654, which is over 250,000. And so please tell us something about it.
This one in particular was actually a requested amount of 300,000. It was not funded at that amount. So it ended up being funded at 210,000. So it's miscategorized here after all. This project of Respect Big Bend is actually more 75% community outreach and about 25% research overall in general, but this entry altogether needs to be removed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
As far as being over 300,000.
But you say it's only 25% research, so
That's
you want
correct.
to withdraw it.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
So we go to Lamar University, which withdrew one, I believe, and has one open.
Yes.
And the one under discussion is 81713, the first one.
Yes, and that is correct. This is a grant from our desk education faculty member to study what method will work for those students who are either the hearing impaired or impaired with other disabilities. And this is a previous grant approved by the committee last year. And we have some remaining fund that wasn't accounting for in the previous year. So we included in this year's report.
So this is a follow-up. Do you remember by any chance the number from last year?
Yes, the number is 80516.
80516.
That's correct.
In 2019, okay. So based on this information, do we click yes?
Yes, it seemed like it was pretty strongly supported through the question and answer process as well.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
That's true. And the second one was withdrawn.
Yes, that is correct.
So I click no.
Thank you.
Dr. Cornelius, if I may interrupt, we skipped past West Texas A&M University, so I just wanted to bring your attention to that. We just have one.
Did I make a mistake? Melinda, did you follow? So we just did two by Lamar, and before we did, did we skip? Oh, yes, I made a mistake.
I'm gonna complain though if you want to just, rubber stamp it.
No, you can tell there's no rubber stamping, and I have a little.
Oh, dang it.
I have a little piece of paper, and I'm sloppy. So believe it or not, I made my notes in the wrong line. So here we have. So thank you for speaking up. That's very good. West Texas A&M 81706, and it had no votes in the consensus building against it, and a lot of votes for it. And it's under agricultural sciences, so maybe say one sentence why we should say yes.
Yes, it is a randomized, complete block design trial, and it is 100% funding research and was categorized under 1.1.1.
Okay, then if I hear unmute and say no if you like, but I'm clicking so far yes.
Yes.
So no rubber stamping here.
Thank you.
And I'm glad everybody's paying attention. I'm a school teacher now. So next one is then Stephen F. Austin has won award. Which is showing up. It's 81765. Also had lots of votes and confidence. It's a STEM center. Give us a confirming sentence, please, for this.
This was a research subaward, and it does also have IRB approval. It is for both qualitative and quantitative data that will be researching the effectiveness of this model development program.
All right. So in confidence, we click yes.
I'm very confident that you should click yes.
Well, I was waiting a little bit. People can speak up. This is what it's for. But it's now, I mean, we can go back if you like, but Stephen F. Austin, 81765 is approved. Then we come to UT Arlington. Which has 3 awards. Also,
Cornelius.
they all received good consensus confidence, but please let us know what you think about those awards.
Did you want me to start describing it? I think somebody wanted to say something.
Yes. Oh.
No, it's okay.
So we start with 81772.
Okay, so this first project, they send a robot down into pipelines and collect data to try and figure out what the useful life of pipelines is based on the data collected. And they take some cord samples and they scan the pipelines through an electron microscope.
All right, and it's funded by a city, and it's for pipelines and sewer pipes. I see.
Yes.
And
it's
for a
basic
change,
enough-
not oil pipes, sewer pipes. Okay.
Yes.
So is this to everybody's satisfaction?
Yes, no problem.
No problem. That was
Thank you.
Yes.
Then we go to the second one, 81777.
Right, the second one is accelerated pavement testing. And it's a research project aiming to determine the optimum design procedure for asphalt surface mixes containing recycled asphalt pavement or recycled asphalt shingles. It's a research method in which full-scale pavements are loaded with full-scale truck axle loads, and the performance and response of the tested pavement structures and materials is recorded in detail. They
Yeah, we would have our engineering technology department would have similar projects that we would support as research.
All right, that sounds like
That's
a
in civil
yes.
engineering, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it's civil engineering.
Right.
Yeah.
And then our last one is, I apologize, I misclassified it when I originally submitted the list. It should have been coded as a 114. The funding is to buy or create research components of the liquid argon time projection chamber. It's going to be a field cage, which is going to be hosted at a federal research laboratory.
Looks good. Looks very interesting, actually. Yeah.
That's part of our high energy physics group.
Right.
Okay, I mark it as yes.
Thank you.
All right. Texas Women's University.
Yes, so this particular project is called Project Help, and it's a DHSI project that aims to contribute to knowledge with regard to educators, Latino, Hispanic educators in the field. And I highlighted, it's got a large evaluation component, and the researchers intend to be highlighting that as well in their in their budget. There's a good deal of budgetary funding dedicated to dissemination of the research, of course, statistical support, their graduate students, conference presentations and such. So with regard to their evaluation, I have this proposed evaluation utilizes a pre-post intervention comparison group designed to investigate the efficacy of participation in the program. And let's see, they've got tests for pre and post differences on scores on the continuous measures will be tested. So it's a large part of this is research, although it comes out as a, it's the DHSI is a primarily training grant, but they aim to disseminate this research.
Holly, can you speak to what the research questions are?
Let's see. Yes, and I should have investigated them first. I will tell you off the cuff that they had to do with investigating how many pre-service teachers, investigating how many pre-service teachers are getting into the field of bilingual education and certification and getting certified. I'm trying to find that here. But I wish I had just highlighted that. Next time I will have that right in front of me. I don't have that right here, but they are aiming to increase the amount of Hispanic teachers in the field, and then they're comparing to see what their services are doing to help increase this.
Does your project have IRB approval?
They intend to apply for it, but because of COVID, the funding was pushed back. It was supposed to come in last fall, and then it was pushed back for a little while. So they're working on it. Let's see. So yeah, some of their strategy objectives are increasing the Hispanic pre-service teacher graduation rates and first attempt pass rate. So they're comparing to other programs that have not had the support, that don't have the support infrastructure that this program provides.
Would it be possible for us to table this and let you get the research questions, that kind of thing? Because the stuff I'm finding online, I'm not getting a whole lot of confidence yet, and I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
And perhaps the budget, if it's 50% research or not, would be helpful too.
Okay. And so the budget also, in what I've investigated, I mean, a good deal of it is, some of it is salaries. Just about over half is student scholarships, of course, because it's a training project, but then, some of that is part of the, can be, I guess, part of the research, but really more of it is some of the salaries and some of the statistical support and evaluation support.
Well, remember, sometimes, whether they're salaries or stipends, you have to provide those in order for that cohort of people, individuals, to persist in the program. And so just because they're salaries or stipends, doesn't mean that they're not a research expense. We've used the white mice analogy in the past, where you have to pay for the time of the subject, so to speak, so that you can collect the data that you're trying to acquire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of the total 500,000, 276 is for scholarships. And that's the biggest part of it.
I agree with tabling this until you get the research questions and what kind of knowledge are we trying to obtain? Because we here in El Paso, as a minority serving institution, we have many of those projects where we're trying to increase Hispanic speaking educators and so on and so forth. So where's the novelty and the new research and the new findings? And I think that can all be expressed in the research questions that you are going to find. So I agree with tabling this. You have a chance to bring it forward.
All right.
Okay, no problem. We have since we have several smaller meetings, we can do that. So we don't even have to do it today, if that is okay. We'll see how the rest of the time we have today goes. That was Texas Women's University. Now we go to Corpus Christi. They have 2 awards marked questionable, and I understand they were both withdrawn.
That is correct.
That's the first one. And now the second one. All right, thank you, Corpus.
Thank you.
And now we go on to San Antonio.
Okay. So the first, do you want to go ahead?
First one is 82551.
Okay, so this is a UTSA research IT infrastructure. And so this ties to SAM's 1.4.4 and also 1.1.4. So with this funding, we allow for the enhancement in technology related infrastructure. And we built a high performance computing research infrastructure to enable faculty-led research, to foster discoveries that advance the state of science and technology. We created a virtual research center for the PhD students and graduate and undergraduates research to connect, to continue their research. Due to COVID-19, we had to bring our students in through a virtual research platform. This enabled us to do this. It creates an order for us to enhance our remote learning. And it's also, our researchers are tied to it. We received an award from DOE for $70 million. And so this will tie to helping it continue the research, to the connectivity between our researchers, our students that are doing research. So this will enable us to have a better computing system.
Sandra, just one question. Is it mostly hardware or all
Yes,
hardware?
sir. All the funds are used for hardware to enhance the capability of our researching computing technology.
The concern I have about this isn't that the components aren't research, but rather it's only $3 million of a $12 million award. So the majority of the award is not actually research.
Well, actually, we received 3 cycles of funding. We received, this is the 3rd cycle. And so the whole 3rd cycle is dedicated to this project, the $3 million. We received, as an HSI, we were allowed different components. And so this whole 3rd cycle is related to this project.
And I would add for UTA, we received 3 different CARES Act award funding, 3 different rounds, like you just described, Sandra. And the 3rd is the most flexible that could be used for research. Unfortunately, we at UTA couldn't identify a specific research purpose, but I would just say that they are 3 different unique awards.
Correct. And the 3rd one allows for the building of technology and infrastructure related to remote learning. And that's exactly what we utilized our funds for.
Right.
This is Patricia Zibluck from Texas A&M San Antonio. We had the same experience with the 3 rounds of funding, and the 3rd round being the most flexible. We too were not able to figure out how to use it for research, but certainly agree that it's possible and looks like it here.
Agreed.
So it was
you cited your institutional award, and I went to usaspending.gov, and that doesn't jibe with what's in the institutional award on that.
What do you mean? I'm sorry. What does that mean, Katie?
So I went to usaspending.gov. I put the hyperlink in the chat. And if you go there,
We haven't, we just now are purchasing the equipment. So it'll be purchased by the end of the year. So we did have spending on the other 2 cycles that you might be looking at.
no, usaspending.gov is the actual awards that are from the institution as they're posted. And so the institutional award shows that it's 14.8 million.
Yes, we got two 14.8 million awards, 2. The third one is for the lesser amount, and that's what we utilized for this project. We got 3 cycles, 3 pools of money. So altogether, we received over $30 million, close to $30 million.
So you're using the HSI portion, which is the one that
Yes.
we refer to as the third one, which isn't the institutional one, which is the link I think that Katie shared.
Right.
Well, and the institutional one is showing 2.1 million.
Yes, and we utilized funds that we had to get to the to that number, but we are going to use the 2.1 for these for this, but the whole project was over 3 million.
Got it. That's where the
Thank you,
confusion came in, though. You can see where I got confused because it didn't actually match any of the posted awards.
Yes.
So
Also-
those funds, were they restricted by DOE for this purpose?
Yes. It states on the CARES Act on the bottom of the page, they may include reimbursement for expenses already incurred, technology costs associated with the transition to distance education, faculty and staff training. One of the things that we have to keep in mind as an HSI is that we have a high percentage of minorities. And the research has proven that COVID students, minorities are more susceptible to the transmission. So we have to be very frugal, very cognizant of that research. And so we've created this platform to ensure our students are still actively engaged in our research, especially with our new award coming up. We have lots of students on our new $70 million project, and we had to find a way to keep those students engaged remotely.
So in my mind, it clearly qualifies as the infrastructure for research. I mean, that's listed in the SAMs. The only question in my mind remaining is, was it restricted by DOE for research?
Yes.
Which is one of the requirements. If it was, then in my mind, it's clear. So could you clarify that?
It is restricted.
And could you please explain how you decided that, or read to us where the restriction is in the award?
States these funds may be utilized for reimbursement for expenses already incurred for technology cost associated with the transmission of distance education. So that's what we utilized it for.
But that
And so we
doesn't
built-
say it, that's not restricted. It says they may be used for that. It doesn't say they must be used for that. I think that's where we're coming in with this idea of the restricted piece.
Right, but it also, I mean, it limits what you can use these funds for, so they are restricted. You can't do, you can't spend them on just whatever you want. They give a list of what they're restricted to.
But didn't we decide earlier too that it depends on the use of the funds, not necessarily what the U.S. Department of Education requires? Didn't we just earlier say something along those lines?
Yes, and this has been a long-standing discussion with this committee and the SAM, frankly, and how it's evolved. We have 2 different kind of phases to what's restricted research. One is, are they restricted funds? And sometimes gifts, they may be restricted for a specific purpose, but they may not say specifically it's for research, but they're restricted to a certain, I don't know, activity at the institution or
That's
even
correct.
individual. But then institutionally, they could be used and dedicated, or in that still aligned with how they're restricted, that they're used towards research. And so it's 2 different phases. These are clearly restricted funds. It's a federal award with all of those restrictions imposed on it. And then institutionally, within the allowability requirements of that restriction, it's being used towards research.
Exactly.
Right.
We utilize it all for research.
I would just hesitate to say that we don't the standard isn't necessarily that the sponsor is restricting it to research. It is that it's a restricted fund. And then sometimes it's the institution's use or how, you know, the activities that are being supported by it, still meeting the restricted requirements, but it's fitting the research definitions of the SAM.
And I think I see exactly what you're saying in 1.2.2.2. More than half the earnings are budgeted for research through the institutional accounting process, which seems to exactly back up what was just said there. So if that
Exactly.
is the case, then I agree.
Well, the 1.1.2 though is in reference to private funds.
Okay, 1.2.2.2 is what I said. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Based on the
folks,
discussion, I'm saying yes.
folks, I just got a note that please, it's too confusing for the recording. If you talk, please state quickly your name before you speak, so we know who is speaking. Sorry to interrupt this.
This is Manuela from Utah, and I agree that this is reach.
So this is Reinhold. I have a question for what Jeremy said. So were you saying that the SAMS does not require an outside entity to restrict for research?
He's muted. Jeremy, you're muted.
Sorry
There you go.
There you go. So I guess my primary point here is that there are two different phases. And this is particularly the case for restricted gifts where it's not as clean cut like a sponsored project where you have a clear statement of work, you have a detailed budget. Sometimes you don't have those components. And also I would add, this is part of the reason I think for the clarity of the SAM revisions that were proposed where we talked about budgeted or expensed for research being able to count. In other words, we have what is the definition of restricted funds? And there are specific accounting rules and requirements of how we report those for not only our AFR, but for the other courting board survey, research expenditure survey, and et cetera. And it's consistent with that. So we have restricted funds that come to our institutions, whether they are federal, private, et cetera. Those restrictions, we have to still follow the allowability of those restrictions. And sometimes it's at the institution level of, are those restricted funds used for research according to the SAM definitions? And I just think in this case, and we even had our internal audit review this to say, yes, this phase 3 in particular, where it had the most flexibility, they determined it is restricted. It is a federal award with restrictions. And then the institution does have some discretion on how to use those restricted funds. And if we could have supported them for a research purpose, we would have accounted them and included them just like UTSA did. We weren't able to, but they have, I think, a very good rationale and definition that meets the SAM requirements, the intent of what I guess, of this transparency. I think it's one, restricted, and then two, it's used towards research.
Yes, he's correct. And Katie asked about the 2.1. Yes, Katie, you're correct. However, the project cost us 3 million. So that's why we indicated the 3 million, but you're absolutely correct. It is 2.1 million of the funds that we received from this award.
This is Mike Landa from Texas State. Yeah, I mean, there's language within the SAM that allows for a limited discretion on the part of the institutions to budget and expense, the funds. And so I would hate to see us set up situations where we're inconsistent within the SAM. And I think 1.2.2.2, is enough of a precedence to deploy, to this type of award. I agree with the restricted aspect of it.
This is Teresa Clemens with West Texas A&M. Just to kind of help us distinguish between the, especially in an IT area, the equipment that was added and the capabilities that were added, did those enhance the entire university's IT capabilities and by consequence set up this ability to have enhanced research capabilities, or does it not really impact the university at large?
It impacts the university at large because we did have another portion of funds, and to ensure that we were enhancing our remote learning for our students, because that was something that was really big for the university, to ensure that we kept our students engaged, not only through research, but learning. So that was part of it. And we also built this virtual research learning center to enable our researchers to continue and to have a place to ensure a platform for their research activities.
Is there any way to document or to describe what the percentage split would be between what was more universal and what was targeted toward the research?
You bring up our budget, Cornelius or Reynolds, please. You will see that all the funding there is. So it was all equipment. I mean, all items for building the computing platform. Thank you, Randall.
So one other issue is that the award was 2.1 million. I don't know if you can count those internal match funds or that
No,
you may
we
have
won't.
added to it. So the award,
Right. It was just the budget that we had. So
right.
in order not to break it down, but you're correct. We should have had the 2.1. So that's the funds that we'll be utilizing.
2.1.
Yes, that was, so we can make a note on that.
So that's the total 2.1, not 3, correct?
Yes, right. But the total project was 3. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So I think, I mean, several people have spoken up and so on, but not all of them, of course. And this is one case where if it is approved, the switch would be from the consensus thinking, the pre-meeting thinking, which is okay. That's why we're here for. But I think we should go for a roll call for this one so that we can document that. What people think. Is that okay?
Sure, we need to reach resolution.
Yes.
Yes, so I think, I mean, it has been discussed in detail. If you, I think you're ready to do that. Is that so? I don't want to hold it up. Then I say the institution name. And those who are not there, hopefully I can remember. But I say all the names of the institutions. So Angela State.
Abstain.
Lamar.
Abstain.
Midwestern.
Abstain.
Prairie View.
Abstain.
Sam Houston.
Approve.
Stephen F. Austin.
Approve.
Sue Ross. Sue Ross still on the line? Marilyn?
Yes.
Tarleton State. Oh, sorry.
Approve, had trouble unmuting. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Tarleton State?
Approve.
A&M International?
Approve.
No. Oh. Yes. A&M Galveston? I don't hear A&M Galveston. A&M Central Texas? A&M Central Texas? Ernest, maybe we should unmute everybody. Can we do that?
Mhm.
Sir, this is John Carroll from Texas A&M University Central Texas. Dr. Porter, who's our representative, I don't see him on the line. I think he may have had another meeting he had to go to.
All right, thank you. And we didn't hear from Galveston. We're unmuting everybody, I think.
Dr. Cornelius, I believe that Galveston is under a mandatory evacuation.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are. Roll call didn't yield any attendance from Galveston.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I have trouble cross-checking, but thank you for letting us know, and we keep those folks in our mind. So then we go on with A&M Commerce.
Approve.
A&M Corpus.
Yes, approve.
A&M Kingsville.
Approve.
A&M San Antonio.
Approve.
Well, I guess so. Yes.
Oh, the old joke. A&M Texarkana.
Well, we do not have someone online that can.
Okay, yes. Texas Southern, also not online. Texas State.
Approve.
Texas Tech.
Same.
Texas Women's.
Approve.
UT Arlington.
Yes.
UT Dallas.
Approve.
UTEP.
Approve.
UT San Antonio.
Oh, I'm sorry. I spoke for A&M. Yes, approved.
That's okay. Move
I'm
to.
sorry, Patricia.
That's okay.
Oh, A&M San Antonio also approves.
Yes.
Sorry, yes. Did I misspeak? Could be. UT Tyler.
Yes.
UT Permian Basin. Permian Basin is not there. UT Rio Grande Valley.
Yes, approve.
University of Houston.
Approved.
Clear Lake.
Approve.
Downtown.
Approve.
Victoria is, I think, not there. Probably also Hurricane. UNT.
Approve.
UNT Dallas is not there. And West Texas.
Abstain.
So we have 21 yeses and 7 abstentions. So that is a clear result. I thank you for obliging me in this roll call.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your support. Thank you.
while I log in, so the next award is 82726. What am I doing? Award 82726. All right.
Reinhold, could you hover over the text that was submitted, the supporting text?
Can you see that?
Yes, this award is made to the University of Texas San Antonio Institute for Health Disparities Research. So it is a research center that all that is conducted within the center is research. And so as I was listening to Dr. Rasmussen earlier, this is exactly what we are doing at San Antonio as well, improving student success. And so we have an IRB in place, and what they do is the 3 objectives. They try to, of course, they'll identify, which is a B, and I, which is the Basic Needs Initiative. And they do this through surveys and assessment of practices. They include the data collection and the use of the approaches to examine the links between the basic needs and student success. And then we build a statewide network, and they go on to disseminate the information that they've collected in practices and published proceedings and peer-reviewed journals. And this is also a gift, so we have the donor's letter as well.
Did you apply for
Yes.
Seems like research on best practices. And like I said, I like the trip connection. We've seen those types of awards in the past as well. That goes through another vetting process. So I would support that, you know.
Yes, it's done in a research center as well. So all that goes on is all the graduate student researchers and PhD students are in there, and they're conducting the research. It has the IRB approval. And then there'll be publications and all kinds of dissemination of the findings.
Okay, is this yes to everybody's liking?
Yes. Any objections?
All right, the consensus vote was, there were some undecided. Hopefully they would speak up if they are still undecided. And we approve this one. The situation in terms of kind of pre-meeting consensus is similar for this one, which is 82741. And it's very similar to the next one.
That's correct. Mhm.
except it has different funding source.
Yes. Yes.
Same PI. So maybe you can talk about first of or the differences and let us know what you think about this, please.
So I'll talk a little bit about it. So both of these funding sources are being utilized to fund the Urban Education Institute Research Institute. And so this is also applicable to 1.1.8 clinical trials, because this is what they're running. And it's also 1.2.1. So we have IRB in place. And what they do is they complete longitudinal studies of the Texas public pre-kindergarten on primary, secondary, and post-secondary outcomes. They continue the studies throughout the children that they can follow. And they create a university school partnership, implementation, and evaluation protocol. They work to serve to build a stronger pipeline for the students through the research they gather. And they also disseminate it at findings throughout the state of Texas and the country. And they have IRBs in place to continue the studies on the students. They also complete an impact study with outcome data and the evaluation results. And this is also done in a research institute. So the graduate students and the PhD students working there are working on their research projects through these programs, through these funds. I have a timeline here to complete impact research, a career in technology education on post-secondary education, complete longitudinal research of Texas public pre-kindergarten, complete impact research of pre-kindergarten for San Antonio on third grade reading and math results. So it just keeps going on here of all the research that they're doing on this project. It's also a trip.
We have the same raise your hand for Texas award, the small one compared to what you guys have. However, we could not absolutely coded research. So I would need to know a lot more in order to support this.
Well, here's the here's the activities, the milestones, and the deliverables. So in fall of 2019, complete impact research of career and technology education on post-secondary education career outcomes. Spring, complete longitudinal research of Texas public pre-kindergarten on primary, secondary, and post-secondary outcomes. Fall, complete impact research of pre-kindergarten for San Antonio on third grade reading and math results. Complete research of San Antonio ISD 9-month added value model. This model, the value teachers add to students, will differ from existing models by using start of year and end of year benchmark exams that eliminate variability in summer experiences. Fall of 2020, launch a web tool that distributes research on secondary students, their education choices, and choice effects on post-secondary education and workforce outcomes. Launch website that distributes the longitudinal research on the San Antonio's educational attainment. So everything they have, all their benchmarks are aligned with gathering research and documenting it and making it accessible to the school districts in the San Antonio area. And the list goes on. I mean, organize an educational research agenda development conference centered around involuntary student mobility, housing insecurity, and student success in San Antonio. And both of these projects have IRB in place.
Hi, this is also Beth Manning from UTSA. I was trying to pass this on to Sandra. This award from Raise Your Hands Texas is actually an installment of an award that was passed last year. The award was, or the number was 78934. So this was already approved last year.
Yes, I was waiting for that number to come across. Sorry, because
Sorry
this is
about that.
approve it. And so I was waiting for that. And so there you go. There you have it. It's been approved. Because I questioned it. I said, why are we approving, working on year 2? And so they were working on gathering the number. Thank you, Beth.
Okay.
That was
I'm satisfied.
28934.
Let's take that one.
That was last year's 28934.
Beth.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. It was 78934.
78934. Thank you. Just I put it in here in case we need to refer to it.
Thank you, Beth.
So this one is yes. And the second one, we also mark it as yes. Okay. Thank you. UH Downtown.
Good morning. So we have an award that so the UHD Enhancing STEM Success Project aims at enhancing FTIC freshman undergraduates majoring in STEM. So the project aims to build long-term capacity at UHD to support barrier course performance, first and second year retention, and increase persistence leading to graduation within 6 years with undergraduate research with peer and faculty mentoring. A special focus is on mentored PhD research in UHD laboratories and a critical component of the project. Students will gain an enriched vision in what it takes to be a research scientist while connecting the importance of coursework to the STEM degree. Student researchers participate fully in the professional dissemination of new knowledge and will actively participate in the Scholars Academy Graduate School and Internship Fair and the Scholars Academy Student Research Conference. Qualifying students will have the opportunity to present their research at national, regional, and/or local conferences. There is an IRB approval and surveys are completed on pre-post and to assess the outcomes. And 50% of the research of the budget is on research, more than 50%.
Heather, this is Mike Blanda from Texas State. Which SAM statement is this falling under primarily?
I believe we had it at 1.1.1.
I think if I didn't miss it, you also mentioned there was considerable amount of student research going on.
Yes.
So it could also be maybe 1.3.2, training of individuals and research techniques where research is normally conducted.
Yes.
Okay, opinions?
Texas State would support it, approve it.
UTSA approves.
Chris Milligan, UH, approve.
Okay, anybody who would not, then I mark it yes. Otherwise, I mark it yes. That's UH Downtown 82814.
Thank you, everyone.
And we are going to Texas State. Starting with 82830.
Okay, so this is coming out of the College of Education, Dr. Liz Stevens. So we do have IRB approval on this. It's a subaward from UC Irvine. It involves a randomized controlled field study where 15 teachers are going to receive the experimental intervention through professional development, and the other 15 participants will not. So again, the research methodology is going to consist of collection and analysis of student writing samples, and that's going to be gathered electronically and sent to a subcontractor. But overall, we feel it's a strong example of a research project. It seemed to have a pretty high approval rating in the question and answer period.
Yeah, it's clearly an experimental educational project.
Okay.
I vote to accept that, Holly.
I agree, that's true.
Okay, so 82830, we accept. And then we go to 82832.
Right. So again, coming out of the College of Education, Stephen Chulo. So the purpose, again, of this IRB approved project, so there is IRB approval, is to explore the relationship between teachers' use of evidence-based practice, teachers' experiences with and attitudes about adapting instruction for students with disabilities, and then the students' writing outcomes. So the exploration project is going to involve direct observation of classroom instruction to determine the extent to which teachers use the evidence-based practices. The project will also explore teachers' experiences with and attitudes about or toward adapting instruction and how they relate. Findings from this research will provide preliminary information about how writing is integrated within inclusive middle school science and social studies classrooms. I think those are the novel two disciplines. I think there have been other studies focused at other disciplines, but this one's focusing on science and social studies classrooms. Again, we have two cohorts of teachers who will participate in the classroom, observations, surveys, focus groups, and semi-structured interviews. Follow-up data collection and document consistent teachers' use of writing practices with new class of students. Data collected will identify the use of evidence-based response practices. A lot of statistical data involved.
I'm good, Michael.
Okay, thank you.
I will support Kingsville.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And the description is similar to the first one, so we click yes.
Yeah. This last one, guys, I'm going to have to admit that I made an error in reporting 82838. We had another BWET award that was approved by the panel back in FY15. And I had confused those two because of change in PI or departure of a PI. And I mistakenly thought that 82838 was the same project. In fact, it is not. It's a new project that has not been presented to the committee. And so I would really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the research nature.
All right.
Okay. So in summary, this is coming out of the School of Social. This is coming out of the School of Social Work. And the purpose is to enhance the services to rural and at-risk populations through a focus on increasing the number of social workers prepared to provide trauma-informed, culturally sensitive, evidence-based behavior, health prevention and intervention practices. And they're going to be doing this in 3 settings: in schools, hospitals, clinics, and homeless serving agencies. The cornerstone of the proposed project is the enhanced integrated training and stipend supported final field opportunity for 30 masters in the School of Social Work. The project will include online learning modules, in-person trainings and workshops on a variety of topics. So that's going to be under 1.3.1, but then each cohort of students will participate in an enhanced project-specific field project or field research. So that's going to fit under 1.3.2. And so the various research indicators involve, again, we have an IRB approved project. And so that speaks towards the generalizable information that's going to be generated by the research methodology. Within the abstract that was uploaded into the system, let me go to that real quick. Jumping around on me. We do have a research hypothesis, and that is that there will be a greater increase in knowledge and skills related to cultural competence and trauma-informed interprofessional behavioral prevention and intervention practices for the treatment group relative to the control group. So again, you've got the classic setup of research methodology between a control group and a treatment group. Research methodology is going to involve pre and post survey instruments, including a questionnaire on cultural competency and one exploring knowledge, skills, and abilities. Those are issued to the students. Quantitative assessment of the effectiveness of the program will include pre and post testing of the stipends. So again, as we see, the bulk of this money, $300,000, is for stipends, and that is to allow the students to persist in the program, as well as to offset some of their expenses for conducting their own research projects. So we have a lot of data collection through pre and post award. I supplied those examples to Reinhold. I don't know if he needs to put them up online just yet, but they are bona fide research instruments. The proposal from the abstract has 5 objectives, and the objectives, again, sort of reflect in the abstract, and that is to educate, train students. And so again, that's the 1.3.2. Increased training opportunities focused on what we've mentioned. And so that's through the development of the 20 online learning modules and 39 face-to-face workshops across the life of the project. Objective 5 is to conduct the evaluations, the formative and summative evaluations. So that's kind of under 1.3.1 as well. We've got
I believe it's research.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds to me.
Yeah, I believe it is.
I think that everything he's reading sounds very research driven.
Right.
I would agree, research.
Yes, research.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Agreed.
All right, I
Thank you.
had muting problems like you all. I don't know why Zoom hides it and makes it very hard to get to. Seems unnecessary. But I clicked this one, 82838, as yes. And we have 2 minutes left. So we have 1 tabled award over 250 and 6 left. I think we should start out with them tomorrow, if that is okay. If everybody will be there from Texas Women's, Texas Tech, UNT, and UH. There's.
This is Amy Cook. I can take care of our one in like 5 seconds.
Oh, yes, sorry, and there was another one. Which that one is
the next one, 83056.
Texas Tech. Okay, well, we will take you on.
Okay, after additional conversations with our faculty as to how much research this project truly encompasses, we are going to withdraw it.
Oh, you were right.
Well done.
No use to prolong the agony. This window. It's Texas Tech 83056. Okay, so then we have UNT, UH, and UTEP tomorrow and the table from Texas Women's. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
think you all did a good job, and so far we are doing well. And I say goodbye till tomorrow morning, and hope that our folks in the hurricanes pass are doing well. Let's think of them, and we'll see if they have proposals to deal with. We do that later. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.